Hi, it's Noush, exclusively on Popp Dapp.
As an independent artist, you wear the hats of producer, songwriter, creative director, performer, and now dancer. How do you protect the original emotional instinct behind a song while constantly switching between these different creative roles?
Well, for me, clarity of emotion always matters the most, whether it's at the stage of producing the record or when you're stepping into the visual world of it. The one thing that I know is what I want listeners to feel when they hear this track. And when you wear so many creative hats, it does get very overwhelming at times. But I look at it as the best problem to possibly have because nothing gets lost in translation. So I just keep checking in with myself from time to time at every stage of production whether this is the song that I heard in my head and if these are the emotions that are coming through, the ones that I felt while writing, composing, and producing the record.
You've described hearing your songs almost fully formed before they reach the studio. Do you see production as a technical process, or more as translating something that already exists in your imagination?
Well, definitely the latter. Production for me has just always been about translating what's playing in my imagination into something that's quantifiable and tangible in a way for other listeners to hear and experience. I'm completely self taught, and the reason why I started producing was to chase these melodies that were in my head and have them presented in a way that I could physically access them. So I'm at the same time I'm not familiar with half the jargon that's used around, but that's only because I'm so emotionally driven and I leave no stone unturned in trying to figure out the way to replicate the melodies that are playing inside. Um, so there is a technical side, of course, and that technical side does become the language by which you translate what's already happening within. But I'm definitely more emotionally driven.
Latin pop, Bollywood emotion, cinematic storytelling, and contemporary dance music aren't influences often blended together. What drew you to this intersection rather than following a more conventional pop formula?
I've grown up surrounded by so many musical worlds, and as human beings, we're just so complex that I couldn't possibly restrict myself to just one genre because with many genres come the different emotional worlds that they could represent and reflect. And speaking of Bollywood music, I absolutely love Bollywood. And what I noticed early on was the fact that the songs we used to listen to were tailor made for the narratives we'd see on screen. And I knew that this is what I wanted to do with my songwriting as well. I wanted to write songs that could narratively reflect the emotions that I'm feeling. Hence, rather than choosing just one identity, I decided to just make my sound something that genuinely reflects everything that inspires me and everything that I love. And if that requires me to step outside traditional boundaries, then I'm more than happy to do so, always.
Snakes and Ladders explores the fine line between accountability and taking responsibility for someone else's choices. Was there a moment in your own life that fundamentally changed how you think about that distinction?
Absolutely. I think a lot of people would relate to the instance of finding themselves trying to fix something that they never broke. And I think true healing and true accountability comes from recognizing where your responsibility starts and ends, and where someone else's accountability and free will comes into play. And I think that understanding became a huge emotional foundation for Snakes and Ladders.
Many independent musicians today release songs, but you're building complete visual worlds around your music. Do you think audiences are increasingly connecting with artists through immersive storytelling rather than just individual tracks?
Absolutely, I do. At the heart of it, I want people to find a friend in my music. I've always said this, it's music for you to make yours. I want people to relate to it, find a piece of themselves in the songs that I write, turn to it, escape to it. And I think that can only happen when you have an immersive world for them to fully be understood by. And every visual element is an extension of the same story that you're trying to tell. Um, and which is why everything that I do, I've tried to stay as true as I possibly could to the emotion of it. And I think that's how you build a connection with your audience. You're essentially just befriending all of them through your music.
Creating a project from a bedroom studio while maintaining such a cinematic ambition reflects a growing shift in independent music. How has working outside the traditional label system shaped both your creative freedom and your decision making?
Being independent has taught me to trust my instincts. I've learned so much in this process because every decision from production to marketing, it all comes back to me. You do have to wear so many hats, but I think that's the most exciting and challenging part of it. I value the creative freedom so much. It means so much to me, and I think I'm just proud of every project that then comes out because it genuinely reflects my vision.
This release also introduces dance as a key part of your artistic identity. When you're performing, what can movement communicate that lyrics or production simply can't?
Movement communicates emotion in a completely different language in ways that are just so powerful and fierce and confident. And I think that's exactly what it did for Snakes and Ladders, which is why I really wanted to employ it as a tool for storytelling. The kind of vulnerability, the confidence, the ferocity that it brought in, it perfectly complemented the song, and it was needed for us to tell the story the right way.
If listeners discover Noush for the first time through Snakes and Ladders, what do you hope they understand about your artistic universe beyond the music itself, and where do you see that universe evolving over the next few years?
The music I make is for you to make yours. I like to think of it as a radio station where every release is a different frequency, a different channel, and very sonically different from one another because as human beings, we're just so complex. And you might tune in one day and you might find an emotional ballad. You might tune in again and hear a Latin poppy, upbeat number. And while they might sound different from one another, I want listeners to know that it comes from the same place. Every thread of it is still interconnected and they kind of intersect with one another, and that's just the complexities of human emotion. Over the next few years, when people tune into Nash FM, I hope they find a lot of honesty, a lot of genuine storytelling, and most importantly, I hope they find a piece of themselves in the music that I write. And if my songs can make you feel understood, if you can find a friend in my music, then that's the artistic universe that I want to keep building. So that's Noush FM.